this magic moment when we hit play on Disney Plus quickly became a lie.
Big mistake. I was told by Lucas this was going to be a magical movie last time we were together.
Anything is magical in the world of Disney.
Complete lie. I'm disappointed.
Well, I'm Lucas Melby.
And I'm Jacob Telejohn.
And we are a whole new pod, a podcast all about Disney Channel original movies. We're watching them all in chronological order. As much as we would like to skip over some of them, and hoo boy, we wish we maybe skipped over the one today.
I didn't want to skip over it because I was so excited to just...
Well, without delaying too much, the movie we watched today was called The Poof Point.
Yes.
Which, I don't know why I thought it was about magic, as in the sense of, like, he's a magician putting on a show
and
for, like, a talent show or
somebody
something.
Disappear.
Not, like, actual magic, witch, wizard type stuff.
Yes.
I think probably the reason I thought it was about magic is I just figured poof. I associate that with magic.
Making somebody
probably because
disappear.
of Arrested Development, because of the jokes around like the magazine Poof in Arrested Development. But no, the poof in this is quite different and not anything I could have imagined.
No.
And the plot synopsis, as I was reading it, just the color drained from my face.
Yeah.
I was having a good week. I was feeling energized. I'm like, yes,
really ready.
This is our 2 weeks. Let's get another episode out on schedule. And I was like, oh no. That's what the Poof Point is about? So I guess without any more preamble, we can just get into it, because that's what we do here.
And I was going to say, too, even the movie itself spoils itself in, like, the first, 30 seconds.
That's the reason why I'm not going to, like, delay, like, what I learned about in the plot synopsis that much, is because it's
we just know.
very upfront about what this...
we know
this movie is not about
into.
magic. We don't know where you got that idea, but... so, yes, we begin at the beginning, and we see a Disney Channel original movie written stylishly on a chalkboard.
Yes.
Ooh.
Chalkboard.
I feel like there's smart people in this movie. Bam! We see the smart guy. He's back.
Hounded.
I'm pretty sure his name is Eddie, but I'm almost positive I just about wrote smart guy down in my notes every single time. The main characters in this are Smart Guy, Smart Guy's sister, and Smart Guy's mom and dad.
That's right. I don't remember their names. Mom,
and
dad, sissy.
Beyond seeing the chalkboard, we're immediately greeted by the Smart Guy speaking directly to the camera.
Breaking that fourth wall.
Too many DCOMs to list off at this point.
Yes.
So we'll get a combination of his narration as well as cutbacks to him talking to the camera. And it is not diegetic in a way that, like, him explaining what went on, kind of usual suspect style after the fact.
Yes.
It's not breaking the fourth wall in the same way as Quince or Miracle on Lane 2. It falls into the camp of a little beyond Stepsister from Planet Weird, but just the pure laziest. This is an easy way to write a story. We're going to just put it in there as upfront as possible. So, not off to a great start, and things go from 0 to 60. Fuck you, kick you in the balls. I don't want to go any
10
further.
seconds?
Because everything is terrible. All of a sudden, we see flash forwards. We're first getting like a car driving on a street. It speeds up and
weird
it's like
noise effect.
So we're seeing speed ups, slow downs, weird sound effects, all of my favorite things. And then quick cuts to, I don't even remember some of the stuff. It was like, I think the party that maybe happens later on.
I just remember them in the bathroom, the dad in the bathroom.
But then we're seeing two grown-ass adults.
Yes, and they're 40.
At least canonically within the story, they are 40. They might be older in real life. And they are acting we're not saying figuratively, they're acting like literal children, like babies going goo goo gaga, I want my baba.
I just made a mess. I need to go potty.
Yes. And I told Jacob going into this movie I read what this movie is about. I'm not happy about it. I'm not going to tell you thinking that, it would be a slow realization. No. They get upfront about this.
They let you know.
And the thing is, for kids, kids probably would love this fucking movie. Yeah. This is in the camp of way back when we talked about You Lucky Dog of humans. Why did I say humans?
Just acting
in
not
that
like
sense
humans.
It was humans, but
not acting of
adults
their age
acting, not like their age or acting
non-human.
crazy or whatever. And some people are into that. Adam Sandler's made a career out of it, but I just find stuff like Billy Madison, I don't find it funny. I find it embarrassing. Billy Madison is definitely in a different boat than this, but...
You're hurting a lot of people's feelings right now.
You know,
by saying that if Sam was here, he might be dead.
Well, we're not talking about Sam. Sam's not dead. We'll say that much. So what was I saying? These are not that big of actors. They're getting a job playing these parents.
You said that the parents were from some other old show.
The only bit of trivia or anything listed for this movie on IMDb is that the parents are two actors from the show hanging with Mr. Cooper or something like that.
Sure.
Welcome Back, Kotter, one of those old shows. And this was kind of a reunion thing for them. But it's also a super embarrassing role for them.
We do know the smart guy, obviously. We do recognize Eddie. And later on, we will see a girl that's a very minor role in the movie, but she does go on to do all the High School Musical movies and some other Disney stuff. So,
but she's not any of the High School Musical people that you would think of. She's not Zac Efron. She's not Selena. No, Selena Gomez was in that. She's not Vanessa Hudgens or whatever.
I don't know. I think she's still a known one.
But she's not huge like the other people that came out of High School Musical.
She's definitely
or at least the big two. She's not one of the two leads.
Her name is Alicia Rulin. She's kind of cute nowadays.
So,
34.
I let Jacob know that with our last episode.
This is all going to get cut out.
I cut out 15 minutes from that episode, and he asked, what did you cut? It would be stuff like this. But once again, when I mention things that Jacob does that I don't like that I would normally edit out, and I mentioned that I would edit them out in a podcast, then that stays.
It stays.
So yes, we get this really all over the place opening. And then it starts to kind of settle down to being more of a normal DCOM where we're meeting our main characters. Smart guy's thing is, in this, he's actually smart because it's mentioned he's skipped a grade to, I think, match his sister in their class level. Yeah. But it's not really the big part of him because his parents are so much smarter than them because they're scientists, we learn as well. And then he's got to focus on music, and he plays hip-hop and raps for a bit, but then also is more of a guitar player. So he's a little all over the place. Maybe he was wanting to be the next Limp Bizkit, do some kind of rap rock sort of thing. He did it all for the Nookie in this movie. And as I mentioned, the parents are really super scientists who operate completely out of their house.
An amazing home.
Which looks like the interior decorator was Bill Nye the Science Guy. Basically, you just imagine those balls with the electricity that makes your hair stand up. That is kind of the idea throughout this whole house. And it's laid out kind of open. It's an open concept house.
Yeah.
That it looks like, you know, how Nickelodeon or Disney Channel live action sets go, like Drake and Josh's bedroom, where it's just sprawling and massive because it's on a sound stage. And that's how their house looks. All sorts of weird shit like, oh, this chair isn't normal. It like straps you in like a straight jacket.
Yeah.
The girl puts a bowl of cereal into not a microwave, but we're not really clear what it was.
Microwave?
That it was like some kind of cooling machine.
I don't. Oh.
There's a fridge where they have root beer in at one point, and they have to put on like a glove to reach in. So I don't know, liquid nitrogen. So crazy science stuff. Why are they operating out of their house? That seems kind of weird. Well, we get a little bit surprisingly of the effects that they have on their surrounding world later on in the movie. Quick conflicts, ideas set up at the beginning are it's graduation for the kids.
Probably middle school.
That's the best we can guess because unlike a lot of things that have high school, I'm saying high school in scare quote students in it that are usually like 26 or 35, aged down to 16.
Young.
They are young, so probably middle school.
14.
And then it would just be in the DCOM situation where it's people slightly too old to be playing middle school kids, but still aren't like adults.
Yeah.
When they cast the Lawrence brothers, they age them appropriately, except for Matthew being a ship captain. That was still a little weird. So that's kind of a thing where, we have to have our parents come, but they're so kooky and crazy. And what are the kooky, crazy parents working on? A crazy time travel experiment that we see them set up where they're trying to send
goldfish
fish back to the year 1863.
For what reason? We don't know.
But also, they would never be able to, I mean, I guess within time travel things, you can pull up a screen that says, oh, we're tracking where they are.
Yeah.
And that's all the explanation that they need. But realistically, they're talking about at one point, eventually the fish disappear. Oh, maybe they went to 1863. There's no way to confirm it.
No.
It could just be them killing the fish. And they'd be like, oh, time travel works.
Yeah.
So we see the fish, they get spun around in this big center.
They have really big
centrifuge
eyes.
thing.
The fish have very big eyes.
Yeah, that concerned Jacob a
I
lot.
didn't like that at all.
They seem to look like the goldfish you catch in Animal Crossing. So
Oh.
there are goldfish out there like that.
Oh,
with
God.
the very big eyes. And there's constant narration and cutaways to the smart guy while this is happening, which makes it seem kind of like he's maybe giving a presentation about what is happening
Yeah,
at the end of
that's
the
what we
movie.
were kind of thinking. Either, to like his class, he was kind of just breaking it down, why his parents are maybe acting weird at the party.
There's too high of hopes for this movie.
Who knows?
The experiment seems to be a success to the parents, but the computer system that has its own narrator is very clear on what's happening and is saying, these fish are growing younger.
2 months old!
And then, later on, it's like, Poof Point, Poof
Point.
Point. So while they're away at the graduation ceremony, these fish poof out of existence because they are not traveling back in time.
They're turning into particles and just kind of evaporating.
So this is so contrived, it makes such little sense. So they're not traveling back in time. Okay, well, you could see maybe their bodies are traveling back in time. But what we see with the parents is it's actually just the consciousness is traveling back in time.
The mind of the fish.
But if it goes to when they were born, then they disappear.
Yes.
And not just become brain dead or something.
That would have been
It would have made more
catatonic.
sense.
They just their bodies are just laying
So
there.
it's not typical time travel. It's not even
Oh my
Benjamin
God.
buttoning or anything going on.
Oh.
It's poof pointing.
Yeah.
It's a breaking new ground at
But
the
there
very
are,
least.
we haven't mentioned really the effects. There are a lot of special effects in this movie, I think more than we've probably seen in other movies. Because looking at the goldfish, they're bleh, I don't even know how to describe
Jacob
it.
was amazed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe those weren't even real goldfish.
Oh
the
my.
entire time they were purely CG.
Ooh. Even more budget on the
They paid for the smart guy,
FX.
these hanging with Mr. Cooper characters.
Yeah,
and
all
this-
the money.
all
They
this
dumped
effects.
all their money into this, and now we're going to get Halloween Town next, and it's just going to be garbage.
Yeah.
It's going to be a $100 budget movie with Debbie Reynolds.
So then we see further examples of the kind of disconnect between the parents and kids, where the sister's holding up Polaroid pictures that seem to indicate maybe
Who is this?
her friends are hostages being held somewhere. Do you know who this is? And her mom's like, no, I don't know. Trying to quiz them before the ceremony happens.
Yeah.
And smart guy's
She's like, "Ugh."
playing hip hop on his stereo. And
Yes,
his dad's
he's
like,
holding
Turn
it
that off.
on his lap in the bedroom. There's a lot of weird placements of items in this house.
Well, it's because this house doesn't really seem to have normal structure
Flow.
or normal
It's just
layout.
everything's just there.
So, especially at the final
They do
scene
have a
of the
normal
movie, we
bathroom.
see- And Smart Guy seems to have a room, but we're not clear what floor it's on. Probably the second, but very odd.
Yes.
And the parents they disapprove of the kid's interest. The mom's like, oh, don't you be talking about no boys, Missy. You're too young to worry about the opposite sex. And at one point, Smart Guy says something is cool. And his dad says, I hate that word cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. This is so cool. That's so lame. And I get what they're going for, but cool? To fixate on cool, of all the things,
Yeah.
cool is so basic. Cool
Yes.
has been around forever.
And then
it's
after
not
his-
slangy or anything.
After his dad tries to inform him of how lame the word cool is, he just says, cool.
Yeah. You know, he could have said gnarly or fat or something like that. That would be more timely, but no, cool.
Cool.
And then he's kind of like, well, I'm kind of still in touch whether I'm cool or not. And then to quiz him, the smart guy said, who's Little Bow Wow?
Yeah. Just give you an idea kind of what year it is.
Yeah, that aged well.
2001.
Little Bow Wows.
He sells his own show, doesn't he? That's Nick Cannon.
Moving on. So then the kids get their diplomas for middle school, ?
Yeah.
And then there's a funny scene, also ? With the parents kind of mingling around after the ceremony, talking to other parents, the kids' friends.
The kids were giving them kind of scripts to follow before they went to the graduation. They were talking about like sports. So he's like, yeah, just say you really like Shaq. He's really been putting up some
stats on the Lakers.
Yeah. So he brings that up when two dads were talking about baseball.
Oh, what a faux pas.
And then the dads are like, ha ha ha, we didn't expect to see you here.
The mom smells some lady's sweater to determine its chemical makeup.
Yes, she knows that it's like 50% polyester.
Yeah, it's stupid. But the crowning point of the scene is the principal is wearing a cap and gown like the students. And the dad starts to do some experiment that...
with his glasses.
I'm no scientist.
He was talking about time travel while he's like, if you hold this...
something that was essentially, magnifying light, reflecting it off of this, kind of focusing it, prism sort of thing, and saying, oh, blah, 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 see, this proves time travel. And then the light focuses on the cap and gown of the principal, and it starts his head.
The dude's head is on fire, and he doesn't even know it.
Everybody's freaking out, and the parents are, the principal's not picking up on it. The parents are not really freaking out either.
And we see no resolution.
Yeah, the kid, smart guy, his hat is on fire. Cut to them coming home, and the parents are like, oh, that was nice. And the kids, you lit the principal's hat on fire. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. No explanation for what happened.
How did he get it off?
We don't even see the principal ever again.
He's dead. They killed him.
Yeah, so this movie sometimes just has, hey, you know what? We're just moving on.
Yeah.
We want to get to the next thing.
Oh, what a mess.
And for the most part in this movie, a lot of time it's like, yes, just keep moving. We already know where this is going. I know I'm not going to like the destination.
Well, an hour and 10 minutes for it to be over.
Let's make the journey quicker.
Yeah.
So the parents discover that the fish are gone,
but they do not know that they poofed. They just think that they, like you mentioned, just
they say, they look like they poofed, but it's 1863. Let's try again. So they try again, and there's this, I'll use the word again, contrived. There's lots of contrivances in this, where as the experiment is happening, the family has a dog named Einstein.
And yes.
Like Doc Brown in Back to the Future.
But they call him Mongrel, the dad.
Yeah, the dad does not like the dog because it's a part of his character. So the dog, there's a cockroach, and the dog is following the cockroach, and the cockroach goes underneath the machine. And then the dog's trying to get at the cockroach. It was kind of
cute, like the cockroach would crawl a little bit, then the dog would kind of crawl a little bit.
Thanks for painting that visual picture.
It was fun.
I say visual picture as opposed to other pictures that are not visual. But yes,
picture.
As he's going after this cockroach, basically it shakes the machine, which then causes a door on the machine to open up, which then causes a part to fall out of the machine.
It looks like a maraca.
It did look like a maraca.
It might have been a maraca.
It was shaped in a way that made it very easy for the dog to pick up and retrieve.
Yes.
And the dog, very intelligently, recognizes that this piece is important to the experiment that's about to happen. And tries to wave down the dad to be like, hey, this piece is missing. Yeah. But the dad hates the dog so much. His great superiority he feels over animals. He ignores the dog, which then causes the experiment to go haywire.
Yeah.
And as I think it's going haywire... they go inside, they get hit by the special effects.
Yeah, the mom goes in, and then the dad realizes that, shit's bad, and he's trying to save her, but then they just start, getting thrown around the room. Not like crashing into stuff, but they're...
Like if they were the Ghostbusters trying to bust a ghost, and the plasma things are swinging them all around.
Yeah, so they're... and then they...
And in case it wasn't clear what might be happening, the computer... omniscient, knows everything. Already knows of this Poof Point that nobody else has been able to figure out.
40 years old, 174 kilograms.
Now they are de-aged to 21.
Yes.
But then the computer shuts down, and I thought it was going to be it was a mystery that the computer got overpowered, so then they wouldn't be able to figure out stuff. But the computer shows up later on just to also tell us how old they are slowly degressing to.
Yes.
So the kids come in running, and then they hear their dad say, cool. Huh? Who are you, and what have you done with our dad?
But he still calls the dog Mongrel.
So he's 21, but the way they present that is he talks like this all the time. Hello, children. Isn't this fly and cool?
Yes, exactly. And they start calling him mom and dad because they don't realize, what age they are. And they're like, Mom, Dad, who put you up to this shit?
They're like, haha, funny prank, you little children. I bet you Marigold's mom put you up to this.
Yes. And they ask him, I bet your names are, and they're like, Marie Curie and something. Eddie...
Eddie Einstein or something. Like that.
It's like, that's what we're going to name our future kids.
You prankster.
We also see them in a mirror. Or is that a little...
We can bring that up now. That we see at some point we see them in a mirror, and we see that they see themselves differently
as 21
than how they
olds.
actually look. They see their 21-year-old
They look
version,
40 or whatever.
And their 21-year-old selves are kind of dressed to be
Prince.
80s. Yeah, one is very clearly just Prince.
Yes. Yeah,
inspired.
no doubt.
And then there's this conceit that eventually does come up slightly towards the end where, so they're traveling back in time consciousness-wise.
Yes.
Okay. But then they should still be like, as soon as they get here, being like, what the fuck happened? How did we get here?
True.
But then they're just like, oh, hey, hello, Marigold. This is crazy. We're trying to write a thesis paper, and these kids are pranking us.
So it's almost like they just got sucked out of what they were doing in the 80s.
Yeah, and they're just super chill about it. They're very cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
The kids trying to figure out how old they potentially would be. They say, who's the president? And after they're like, oh, you're so stupid.
Ronnie.
That's why I don't want to have kids. So he says, well, of course, it's the Ron Man. He's a political hero. And I know that time has kind of shifted the perspective of Ronald Reagan. I mean, he did famously win a huge landslide. I don't remember. It was his re-election against Walter Mondale, where only the state of Minnesota went for Mondale. Every other state went for Reagan. So he was very popular, but I still feel like, so all these characters, smart guy being the main character, it goes without saying that the family is African-American. I don't know if Ronald Reagan was probably like...
too popular among...
He probably was still popular, but, war on drugs and all that stuff. So the mommy says, that Nancy's pretty cool, too. And it's like,
How many kids watching this can know who Nancy Reagan is?
Yeah, that's for the parents who are watching this and hating their lives. So the kids eventually convince them about what happened, that, hey, you're de-aged to 21, and then the parents get to work in the lab because they're talking about their thesis papers related to time travel, so it makes sense that they're able to figure out what's going on.
Yes, because, the machine that they're looking at, they're like, this is what we have in our minds, but
we know this in only theory. We would need a smaller, oh my gosh, look at that
personal computer.
Personal computer.
Yeah, so then they're like, it is possible. It is possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything? That's Kevin Garnett reference there.
Then they somehow make the extra jump between the de-aging and poofing. So then there's a ticking clock that they throw up, a literal ticking clock of, they calculated somehow that, hey, 18 hours roughly until...
Is that what it was? Or was it 24 total and then they worked down to 18? Or maybe it was 18.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't a lot of time.
At the point I started paying attention
so
to
much
what the
stuff
clock
happened
said.
in this short period.
Well, speaking of stuff that is good for me to introduce now because it had already been mentioned a couple of times, is there's a running object of admiration for the daughter in particular, which is the neighbor's family. So there's a little girl, or not a little girl, a girl the same age as the sister. Nice white suburban family. Oh, I just wish I could have a normal life without crazy parents. And we see what this normal life entails. And
but this normal daughter hates her parents too.
We'll get to that. So it does pay off this, oh, I wish we could be like the mom's name. Oh, what is the mom's name? It's like
in the movie?
Corky. The husband calls the mom Corky and also Corkster at one point. But this perfect happy family with the dad with like a sweater tied around his neck. We see at one point, I think maybe they're cookies, or the dad's loading something into the trunk of their car and the daughter's just like, oh, Mom, let's hand Dad cookies or toast or something. And I wish my family was normal like that.
Oh, my God.
And then there's another scene where they're just throwing the football around in the middle of the street, which, is not a typical activity for a girl, but that's fine. It was very progressive of them. But the mom and dad, they're like running in front of each other. The play is like, did the actors not know how to play catch with the football? So that was something
Next
I really...
Tom Brady in the making.
Yeah, that was something I just really liked is there's all this chaos going around, but let's look out this window and sigh at the life I wish I had with this white family next door. So right as the parents are figuring out the solution to what they need to do, wouldn't you know it? So yeah, when they poof, we now see that they kind of bubble, which the fish did earlier. And sometimes it's quite highlighted by the dad literally just going like bloop and throwing his arms up in the air.
They had fun with it, they're having fun.
So the computer then chimes in to tell us that they are 14. So unfortunately, that is the end of my voice like this.
Oh, God.
So the smart guy chimes in with his narration saying something along the lines of, our nightmare was only just beginning. And I'm like, your nightmare?
That was ours.
My nightmare, too. I'm living this.
It's more fun to tell this than to watch it. We kind of make it sound a little bit better, I think.
Well, you just described the mission statement of this podcast.
Right.
If we didn't make the movies sound more exciting or fun than they did, and we just
trashed it,
we just recounted them in exhaustive detail as we sometimes do. You know what? I would stand by some of those YouTube comments we get sometimes.
Oh, God.
So every stage is the most heightened version you could imagine. As I said, I mentioned this when we were watching the movie, that this movie presumably was written by an adult who was probably 21 years old or so at the time. The parents would have been 21, but they're writing it as if this is the perspective of like kids thinking of parents when they're 21, where they're like, hello, Marigold, my lovely wife. Let's write about science. We planned out the names of our children, and I hate my future mother-in-law. What a bitch and a half. Am I right, Marigold? So it's these, that's not what college kids are like.
No.
But then we find these 14-year-olds, and these 14-year-olds are not like 14-year-olds.
No.
We know. They're more like 7-year-olds. The 7-year-olds we'll find are more like
babies.
4-year-olds.
Yeah, they kind of got their ages off.
They're still not like overly obnoxious, but they're getting to the more heightened levels.
Yeah. Because if they were 14, that's how they should have been acting like the smart guy and his sister were.
Yeah. That's what we're thinking
they are.
Their age.
But they're, like you said, they're acting like 7. It's weird.
And there's not really a clear bell curve or anything to how they're ages, aging. So
or even how long they last at a certain age.
Exactly. So 40 to 21, that's 19 years. Okay, then 21 to 14, that's 7 years, and we'll get another 7 years.
Yeah,
but
they go down to
it's not
7,
tied to like the time.
And then 2.
It's tied to what can be the most heightened plot-wise.
Yeah.
And they do spend the most time as 14-year-olds because that allows them to start to relate to their children more.
Yes.
Which is actually narratively a neat thing to have, and something that certainly has not happened in a DCOM so far. But at one point, the daughter just spells out, it was kind of cool to see our parents our age, because you know what? They're just like us.
Yeah.
That's right, my daughter. So then it was like,
there is a...
If you wanted to be a little more subtle, I might give the movie a bit more credit, but when they just spell it out like that.
They do, there is that very touching mother-daughter moment, if you can call that.
That's one of my next lines is, there's some emotional moment between the mom and daughter that we didn't pick up on because we heard the music, but I'm like, I don't know what's happening because Jacob had just opened up a pack of
all pink Starburst.
All of the best ones.
Yes.
You know what they say, 2 in the pink, 1 in
the mouth.
I'm all in on the pink. Yeah. All fingers in the pink. I'm just fisting pink Starbursts.
Yeah.
Into my mouth.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's what people say.
Yeah.
So, I don't
We missed something. It seemed touching. Who cares?
It probably was, you're just like me.
Probably. Because she was having, boy problems.
Yeah, the parents, apparently, at this exact moment when they were 14...
They're really horny, too.
They were having a lover's spat.
There was some weird stuff. There was some definitely,
Yeah, we'll get to that in just
Didn't that happen right before this when she got sad, though? Wasn't she trying to make her moves on him? And
that's not quite.
And then he, freaked out and...
No, because right now, the dad is showing Smart Guy how amazing he is at the guitar.
And
he was playing such a shredding guitar solo, but it felt so disconnected that like it didn't really match his air guitaring on an actual guitar that I thought, oh, maybe he was just air guitaring to a song. But nope, he was actually playing it. He's putting the guitar behind his neck, doing all this crazy shit. So Smart Guy's just dumbfounded. Oh my God, Dad, I didn't know you could play the guitar. Yeah, I've played it since forever. I almost did my voice there. Later Smart Guy, obviously we kind of mentioned that he likes to play guitar too. And that becomes a plot leads into one of the best parts of the movie where he has a tryout with a band that has been mentioned a few times up to this point. That just shows up to their house. Called the Urban Slugs. That sounds like Urban Sluts. Whenever somebody says it, I kept thinking they were saying Urban Sluts, which if this was not a DCOM, it would be a better name. Yeah, I like that name. If this was not a DCOM, they could get away with Urban Sluts. That's a good one. But I think at some point while he's playing guitar, one of the members of the Urban Sluts, Colin, comes by, and I don't even know how he gets Smart Guy's attention, but Smart Guy goes out onto his balcony, and he's like, hey, man, so I talked to the band. You got a tryout today at 3. Oh, my God, today? I can't do that. My dad's de-aged to be 14 years old. And we'll also learn that Colin is a guy that the sister kind of got a crush on. Hey. So we're setting up we're sowing seeds that we will come to harvest in about 20 minutes. So the kids are then arguing because even though the situation is quite dire where their parents may poof out of existence. Yes. Smart Guy's still like, I really want to be in this band. Can't I just, like, you deal with them and, like, I go try out? Yeah, he becomes, I'll just mention it now, it doesn't really matter if I say it later, but, with the band, he just kind of just becomes oblivious to, like, everything else that's going on. Like, he doesn't even, like, remember that his parents are, like, gonna die. See, if he was also into a girl, like, the sister was into a boy, and he was trying to, like, impress the girl, but he's just really focused on being in the band. Yeah. So while they're arguing, the parents somehow have slipped away. And then they have to go find the parents. Riding around on scooters and bikes. Smart Guy eventually tracks down the dad. The sister gets distracted by Corky, the neighbor, who is saying, hey, everybody in the neighborhood fucking hates your parents. Is this when she's showing her, like, there's just shit on the side of her house? Like, dirt? First they show broken plates because it does seem like the parents cause earthquakes in the neighborhood regularly. We do see a really earthquakey scene at the beginning. Yes, that is true. And she also mentions that the dog can no longer control its bladder. One of the dogs in the neighborhood can no longer control its bladder. And then they walk outside and we see what at first looks like a burn mark on the side of the house. I think it's dirt. It almost looks like a cannon shot dirt at the house. It still means that probably some projectile landed in their yard to then spray dirt up onto the house. Gosh. So I found that kind of funny. The world building that these parents aren't existing in this own weird bubble inside their house, that they are having effects on their neighborhood. And the neighbors that the daughter wishes she could be like are being like, we've started a petition that we're going to bring an inspector to say, you can't put a laboratory in your basement, and we're going to get your parents evicted. And they could have just been like, also, we don't like them because they're black. It's a hate crime. That's probably what Corky's really on about. Damn straight. So Smart Guy tracks down his dad, who is not with the mom, because we get some throwaway scene where, I don't know, they're fighting it for some reason. And the dad makes a mean comment towards Smart Guy and be like, what do you know? Do you have a girlfriend? And the Smart Guy's like, I don't know. This is the first time you've asked about my social life. Yeah, true. That wasn't a yes or no. And then the dad starts doing bike tricks. Yeah, he's pretty good at them, too. Like BMX bike tricks. Bunny hops, and he's going up on the curb, and he's going down, and he's doing balancing on the front wheel, whatever you call that. Pretty cool. The equivalent of a nollie. Yeah, nollie, tray flipping. But, so when he was 14, that would have been in the 70s. I don't think kids were doing a bunch of bike tricks. Probably not. In the 70s. Probably not. Smart guys. Maybe like riding on like their handlebars or something. Or just wrapping your arms around them. You know, the girl sitting on the back seat. Putting her in the books in the basket. We know a lot about that. You know, like, yeah, exactly. Moving on. Sorry, I just felt a little too seen when the dad asked Smart Guy if he had a girlfriend or not. So then the mom we catch up with, she's in a diner that is like a 50s diner. So
that was cool.
She's trying to get by a jukebox.
A Milky Shake.
Yes, a Milky Shake. That's what they call them. My Milky Shake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, that's not actually what you call it. It's called a milkshake. And she's listening to some music on the jukebox. She's melancholy about Norton. So that's the dad's name.
So it'd be, like you said, the 70s, not like the 50s or 60s.
And we meet Chloe, who, when the sister was introducing her friends to her mom, we did not see Chloe because it turns out Chloe's...
She's a bully?
So it's kind of... I mean, I'm speaking not out of experience, but based on things I've heard from other people. Mostly movies where sometimes girls have friends that aren't really their friends, and they're kind of like mean girls.
Yeah.
That seems to be Chloe, where she recognizes the sister's mom.
Yeah.
So she's coming over and is like, oh, how's it going? Oh, let's just talk like the two of us girls, because the mom's like, yeah, we're both 14. We're going to live forever. I'm not poofing anytime soon. And then Chloe's like, yeah, let's dish on.
Does anything ever happen from that?
Yes. Because, so they dish, and then she learns that, so at this point I'm like, oh, is Chloe like a bully? Because it's like, tell me all the embarrassing secrets about your daughter. But really, she would have only known what was exposed to her in like a half hour, because she does not have all of the daughter's life in her memory.
Yes.
But part of that, she learns the sister likes a boy, Colin. So then Chloe goes back to friends that we had seen before, says, she likes Colin. Oh my gosh. And then something gets thrown together where the band tryout morphs into a party at their house.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And boy, I can't wait till we get there.
Oh my God.
So then the mom comes in as they're jamming out, Smart Guy and the dad. And she just plops a kiss right on his lips, and we get a sound effect of, I can't do it.
Oh my.
Something like that. Wow. I didn't want to do it.
Yikes.
And then the dad's
she gets very aggressive, though. Isn't she like pushing him on the couch and like straddling him?
Well, yeah, so what happened, not quite there, but while this is happening, Smart Guy's just like, the heck? And then the mom's like, I was talking to Chloe. This is Chloe. I hate that bitch. Why would you talk to Chloe? Well, Chloe sounds like she's a progressive girl.
Says you just gotta go for it.
She's
do what you
women
want.
Empowerment that says, hey, you know what? It's okay for girls to make the first move. And to that I say, I agree, ladies.
Yes.
Please make the first move.
Whole new pod at gmail.com.
So she shoves the dad. I'm making the first move. Shoves the dad down, and then Smart Guy goes, "What the heck?" And it did seem like, whoa, this is getting a little really PG-14 with these 40-year-old parents.
And he freaks out.
Yeah, and Norton has the dad, I should say. Sometimes I refer to him as Norton. He runs off and has an anxiety attack. And they have like a garden
greenhouse
or a greenhouse
with giant ass tomatoes that are huge. They're giant.
Attack of the killer tomatoes were created by these parents.
And he's hiding in there under something.
I feel like I hand wave so much of like the maybe more meaningful moments between the parents and kids. So right here I have written, for whatever reason, they decide to work together again, and then they figure out something with the machine about how they can reverse engineer the poofing process or whatever. But then they go into the machine and it makes them disappear. They're freaking out, Smart Guy and his sister, and then Smart Guy's like, man, well, whenever I fuck my homework up, I just hit the undo key. But then he hits a key, and this is where I was like, actually, and it looks like it's the escape key, but then above the escape key it says undo, so, well played, Poof Point, you beat me. So then they get the parents back because the undo button did work, but then what's that? It's the doorbell. Oh shit, it's time for my audition. So Smart Guy opens the door, and there's a giant army of children out there. They're like preteens.
Yes.
And then Colin is the first one to come in. He's the one who set up the audition and the one that the sister has a bit of the hots for. And she's like, Colin, what are all these kids doing outside? I counted like 1 billion. Well, actually, I only counted 132. So then we just see them swarming in. And it's straight out of Smart House. But I think
it is, too. the same kind of party
I think
vibe.
the smart house party scene it's still better. But this,
jump, the house is jumping.
Put some
jump.
I put some kick butt video screens.
The house is jumping.
But
I gotta go watch that scene again.
This is by far the peak of the movie, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not just giving that to the movie. I genuinely enjoyed like the 15 or so minutes where this party was happening.
Party was cool.
It felt like a very different movie.
Yeah.
Where it could just be, a teen party movie.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, sometimes there's like a fine line with those where I can enjoy them, or something like eventually stuff just starts getting fucked up here. But then it's when the parents become like 7-year-olds.
Yes.
That's not fun anymore.
No.
And then there's like Project X.
That's what I was just thinking of it.
Where you and Dustin are way back, saw that in theaters. Nobody probably even knows what that fucking movie is. But I just remember seeing trailers for that movie. And I just felt like I was having like an anxiety attack of my own. I'm like, look at all this property damage these kids are doing. It's so terrible.
Pretty wild. Project Y.
Yeah, do we want to bring that up, Jacob?
Don't forget. Never forget.
I mean, you're the proprietor. You're the planner of that.
One of these years, I'm gonna have a giant.
So Project X probably came out 2009, 2010.
A little bit before we were graduating.
And Jacob had planned Project Y. He's like, that movie's so fucking crazy.
So we gotta have a sequel to it, XY.
Yeah.
So you had
and
Y.
Jacob, you had a bunch of friends on Facebook
Contacts
that
and
you
stuff.
did not fucking know.
And some guy in Iowa wanted to give me his land he had like a lot of land that he's like, yeah, you guys can come down and do this party and stuff on this land.
But at least you were being smart enough to be like, we're not doing this summer. We're doing this, was it?
Years out. Yeah,
5 years out?
I gave it like a lot of time.
So you even gave yourself, you basically just gave people time to forget about it.
But people did not forget.
Remember when Facebook events were a thing? I don't even know if that happens anymore.
I think I made that a thing.
Yeah. So then it's like,
all
I don't
these
know, at that
people were
point,
like,
Facebook maybe just like phased out events, so then it didn't exist anymore. But needless to say, Project Y never happened. Some of our conversations earlier in this podcast might make that seem very ironic that Jacob, of all people, would even try to plan this be-all, end-all party of teenage debauchery.
It would have been so cool.
And at one point, one of the kids we graduated, probably after the end point of Project Y, or maybe hadn't hit the time, this one time made a Facebook status of, hey, remember Project Y? That's all he needed to say just to completely roast Jacob.
Oh, it was okay. It was a good time.
So, with that aside over, back to the Project Y within this movie.
Yes.
It's just wild, and we can see how wild it's going to be by basically the second person to come into the house, who ends up being essentially the teen roadie for the urban sluts.
The best character of the movie.
Who's this white kid with the most cornrows I've seen on any white person ever. Like,
and maybe
it was thick ponytail of cornrows.
And definitely the fifth most screen time, if not even like fourth, beating out one of like the parents.
When I tried Googling around stuff about this movie and images, his image was one that popped up. Probably by people in retrospect being like, it is kind of somewhat problematic for white people to, have cornrows.
Have hair like
especially
that.
when you look as gross as this kid.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought that hair would... And they, focus on him. Like, he's obviously, a focal point. Yeah, they use him a lot.
As crazy stuff happens in the party, they used him as a reaction shot.
Especially in
what's
one...
cornrows kid
in one
about
really
this?
Good scene.
And if you are listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, or you can just go there and you'll see the picture that we'll talk about as a scene very shortly. So... I just love this party sequence. Is just so much teen angst condensed into such a small period of time, because we get the neighbor girl.
Yes.
The girl with the perfect family in the eyes of the sister. She comes over. We haven't even seen the sister ever talk to her. And she's like, I thought you thought I was such a good friend of yours. And you didn't even invite me to this fucking rager party. And she says, hey, actually, my mom planned this. What? Your mom? Because that's what Chloe tells her, is that the mom planned it. Oh, I thought your parents were fucking insane, but maybe they're actually kind of tight.
Yeah.
So then the girl's just like, I fucking hate my parents. I just want to break free. And then she just starts going crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, this didn't need to be in the movie. I'm very glad it is. And just, we get further payoff of that. And again, this is 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. and I wish it lasted forever. But then the parents pop up, and I get reminded of what this movie really is. But even then, if this was just a movie with crazy scientist parents and a party happening at their house, it'd still be pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, it's more like, oh, we figured out what's going to happen, but they're poofing.
The giant ball, the energy ball.
Minutes since last poofing,
Yes.
0, because they just done poofed.
Yes.
And the sister runs to go find Smart Guy, who's in the middle of his audition with the Urban Sluts. And it's been a very long song, but actually, you know what? It was decent, like punk rocky kind of sounding.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it. They had a girl singer, which was kind of cool. And this is where, again, you mentioned earlier, he's so focused on the band, like it's all he sees.
Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, yo, the sister doesn't like spell it out. Well, she spells it out, but she doesn't.
She's saying like, there's an emergency, and one of the band members comes in and he says, "Is this what it's gonna be like when you're in the
Yes.
band? An emergency every
all
day?"
the time.
It's like, what? That's his character. That's his gimmick. He always has emergencies. Something's always coming up for the Smart Guy. So we learn, probably I think through the computer again, that the parents are 7. But they're acting like they're 3 or 4.
Yes. They're blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and then they're like, the mom even talks with like a slight like baby voice. They bust out, I don't know, some techno ball that they made.
Worked on in a science project when they were like 14.
Yeah, follow the deep lore.
Yes.
So then they throw it around and it's like hovering around, flying all over.
Yeah,
Kids are going crazy.
Point of it.
The parents grab hoses to shoot water at it.
Yeah.
And the kids are trying to track it down, but before they can, it finds Cornrows Boy.
Yes.
It's like,
for maybe the best scene of the entire movie.
You know, one of those movie shots where it's like first person view, zooming around like, ooh, what's happening? What's this crazy thing? Yes. And we see just glowing lights with it, and it's in front of Cornrows Boy. And then we see it go down low. And he starts gyrating in a way, like doing like hula hoop circles with his waist. And we're like,
what is that?
Can I borrow the ball for a little bit? But we see that it's just somehow gone up inside of his buttoned up Hawaiian shirt. Is like
very disappointed.
Dragon Ball Z button up.
Yes.
So then while it's in his shirt, the kids run over and hit it with like a tennis racket to break it.
Yes.
And then
explodes.
The dad says, "I'm going to tell on you."
What a scene.
So my next note is the parents are so annoying. But then we get another great scene because there's a rager party happening. What's going to happen? Well, the neighbors are getting upset.
Yo, they are pissed.
And it's also happening in broad daylight.
Yes.
The neighbors come over, Corky and her husband.
They somehow get in the house and out to the patio.
Sure, you know.
They just walked in.
They didn't have a smart house kicking the bully out or anything. They just had Colin waving everybody in. Who Colin at one point also hits on the sister and says she looks pretty. So everybody's getting what they need.
Mm.
And the parents have the police with them and they're like, "Hey, we're prepared to fucking evict them."
Yes.
And then the neighbor girl, they said, "This party's crazy. You would never see my daughter in a place like this, you fucking hoodlum bitch, sister."
Mom!
Yes, Cartman walks out. "Hey, Mom!" And she says, "Yo, you know what? The mom planned this party. It's been a rager. She's so cool.
Yo.
I hate you. If you get rid of this family, I will never talk to you again."
That's true.
And then Corky,
yeah, she does. She literally says that. "I will never talk to you again if you get these people evicted."
So then they're like, well, if everybody leaves now and you're good for 24 hours or
let
something,
it slide.
We won't evict you.
Yes.
Everybody has to leave, unfortunately. So the party gets called off and my joy ended. It's what I have. And quite literally, this is the cutoff where
are the
some
parents,
of the stuff earlier on was still okay, but this is where it gets really bad.
Are the parents locked in the bathroom at this point? Didn't they take them in the bathroom or something?
Not quite yet, because they're still 7.
Are they out there with the
7
cops,
years
though?
old.
Are they out there when this is happening? I don't remember them being out there.
No, because that would be very difficult to explain.
Yeah.
There's now 30 minutes to Poof Point. And,
yes. They're still 7 at this time.
Through reasons, they figure out that this is all happening, the malfunctions with the machine, because of this piece missing. So they're going around trying to track down the piece. And the dog actually has it, and he sees the dad looking for it. But the dad has always been so mean to the dog.
Keeps hiding it.
So the dog is hiding it so that the dad won't get it from him.
Yes.
We get into the final 15 minutes.
They start to again.
Yes. If they poof this time, after this, it's poof.
Game
poof
over.
Over.
Poof over. Poof on.
Poof over, man. Poof over. So now they are, I love it, 2 years old.
2 years old, and the mom is out in the kitchen.
So the change happens when the kids are away. They hear like something crash and they run up. And immediately somehow the mom has covered herself with spaghetti and sauce.
Yeah, the kitchen is a mess.
And she also has like a bunch of shit on her face. Like I thought like she had like a Band-Aid on her face. It was very odd. And then she's like, this is the stuff from the beginning of the movie, which
that we see.
Thankfully,
it wasn't the whole movie.
This is going to be, I thought this was, in a way I thought it was going to kind of be like Quince, where I thought 30 minutes of Quince would just be like diaper jokes. And I thought that would have been this movie too. It was still fairly condensed, but I'd have been fine if it wasn't in the movie at all.
So we see her, out in the kitchen, and the dad is in the bathroom. I made a mess!
Yeah,
I made
again, the mom immediately covered in spaghetti sauce. The dad wrapped like a fucking mummy in toilet paper, has baby powder that he's like spraying around.
He throws all this.
It's just... This movie has no restraint. They are just pedal to the metal this whole time.
It's a
cranking
mess.
It up to 11 with everything.
Oh, my.
So then the dad, being a child, is enamored with the dog. So then he like crawls over to the dog, and we get... Jacob thought it seemed like a sweet scene between the dog and the dad.
Dog thought it was pretty sweet, too.
They were playing clown music in the background, which I found kind of disconcerting with the way the dad was.
It was really creepy, him crawling up on the dog.
To me, it looked like the dog was scared, but the dog was wagging his tail, so he was happy. But it gave me flashbacks. The clown music particularly made me think of Air Bud with Air Bud's creepy clown owner. Why was he a clown in that movie?
Awful.
So then the dog loves the dad, so he gives dad the piece. They get it in the machine.
Well, a whole bunch of stuff happens before that. Like, he throws it up in the air.
I was going to miss that. So, couldn't just be, they get the piece. The dad's like, it's a ball.
Ball. He just chucks it in the air, and then Smart Guy comes running.
So, we can get a...
dives.
Dun, 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 dun.
And he misses it.
Slow-mo dive.
Einstein comes in with the save.
Yep. And it's like, well, good thing the dog gave it to the dad just to get it back to the dog to give it to the kid. I can understand why the dog doesn't like the dad. Why does the dog hate everybody else in the family? Giving it to anybody else.
Give it to the kid. Yeah.
But it does give a little bit of fun growth to the dad that he's like, he doesn't hate animals anymore.
And later on, we do see that.
Exactly.
Character growth. Coming of age. Literally.
Maybe we all need to de-age to 2 years old.
Okay.
Now it is really the final countdown, like 60 seconds or 2 minutes.
Well, 2 minutes left to go.
Get in the machine.
He's like,
Mom
I need to go potty.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I gotta go to the bathroom. Die.
I know. I'm not supposed to touch my face, but I was touching my face.
Dude, and the daughter's like, do you know how to go potty train? No.
Exact quote. Do you know how to use the big boy potty?
The big boy potty.
So then
she's like, I will help you.
Yeah, and we thought she was going to go into the bathroom. And I'm like, I know that the current adults are 2 years old, but as a current adult, I need an adult if this scene is about to transpire as it did. Getting a deep dive into some of the internet search history of the writer of this movie, if it played out the way I thought it was going to. But nope, she stays outside of the bathroom,
Jesus.
Yells inside, I went pee-pee. All right.
Pee-pee.
And then they open the door and goes, do you want to see? And it's like, fucking come on, man. So then they pull him out. He does not wash his hands, I'm pretty sure. They shove him into the machine. And in the final seconds, the machine works. The parents are back, and their 40-year-old consciousness. And then they also seem to remember some stuff, because the dad says, pee-pee?
What was that?
She says something about something to the daughter. And she's like, oh, you remember some stuff? And the dad's like, yeah, me too. Pee-pee. And then the dog runs over and he's like, oh, I love this dog.
And then he like realizes, what?
Why do I like this dog? I fucking hate dogs. Oh, Dad, shucks, that's so cool. And he's like, that's right, son. Pee-pee and dogs are the best. So now the parents are back to their normal selves, but they're a little cooler now. And we see that because the main gathering area of the house is just bedlam. It's basically like the party scene earlier.
They're fucking cooking. They got a car parked in the middle of the house.
They have a car in their house. Smart guy's jamming on the guitar. The dad is jamming on the guitar too, taking breaks from grilling food inside of their house. It's a propane grill, but still. And the dog's dancing to the guitar music. So
what a movie.
So then we get the reveal at the end of the movie. We get the final shot with a narrator smart guy, which we don't see set up as, this is why I was talking to you this whole time. He's still in front of the chalkboard, but he says, and my parents basically figured out time travel, so I traveled back to the 70s and I played bass guitar with Bob Marley.
No, with Jimmy.
Yeah, Bob Marley, because then we get the pan out where he's wearing, I assume it's supposed to be a wig, not that he grew his hair out, but a classic Rastafarian hat with the dreadlocks. And then he's like, oh,
yeah, man.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, I guess he's black, so it's okay.
And then he steps aside and it says, the end on the chalkboard. Yep.
So the piece needed to be in there, and they were able to time travel. But then the piece needed to be there to fix their condition. So shouldn't they have also time traveled when they put their parents in there? Shouldn't their parents have gone back to like Gettysburg, 1863 as 2-year-olds, 40-year-olds? Like so many DCOMs, we probably shouldn't think too hard about it. And you know what? I'm cool with that because I don't want to think about this movie anymore.
We should have seen more time travel. I want to see it like we could have seen them go back in time. Like, just like a fun little scene, like 5 seconds, here they are with the dinosaurs. Another like 5 seconds, here they are with Lincoln. 5 seconds, here they are,
sounds okay on paper, but my experience, so that's basically would have been Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
And when I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I already felt like it felt too much like a kid's movie, that I felt this was borderline educational at points. So I can just only imagine what a DCOM would be like with the lesser budget and also probably more of a slant to educational side. I mean, if we were just dealing with the smart, snooty parents the whole time, it might be hard for me to say, but I don't think this would have been a better movie if they had actually time traveled.
I'm not saying like the whole movie, just like a little thing at the end, just for like funsies. They got it to work. They finally got their experiment to work. Like him just saying that and having the
credits include Polaroids of them in different locations.
That would have been fun, just kind of like The Hangover did.
Yeah, just like The Hangover.
Yeah.
So that was the Poof Point.
Not magic at all.
I feel like, to be fair, going into this movie, I thought it would be ready to run tier as far as next to talking animals, things I probably hate, like Sinbad, are adults acting like children.
So after reviewing it, you feel like you'd like it a little bit more?
I mean, I also think we had a lot of fun discussing it, which we don't always... I mean, I had more fun talking about this movie than Jumping Ship, but Jumping Ship is probably still a better movie.
Yeah, it just all depends on the goofiness, I think, of the movie and
going into this movie,
how serious we take
the way I thought it was going to be was that movie Good Boys or Bad Boys, the Seth Rogen
Martin
directed
Lawrence
movie. No, not Bad Boys. I think it was called Good Boys. The one where it's basically the little kids, where the joke is, oh, these kids found a dildo, and they don't know what a dildo is. Yeah. Isn't it crazy? 'Cause they're kids?
Yeah.
Now they're swinging on a sex swing. Isn't that a little naughty? 'Cause they're kids? And it's like, I thought this movie was going to be, isn't it crazy? 'Cause they're an adult. They did a boom boom in their diaper, and I thought that's what this movie was going to be. Especially with how little there seemed to be any buzz around this movie. There was only a paragraph on Wikipedia about it. And
definitely the beginning of the movie made it look like it was going to be awful. But yes, I mean, they were only little kids for literally like 3 minutes of the movie. It wasn't like
like 5. I mean, at the very but the PP scene made anything feel like forever. So,
but it wasn't like they tried to just keep going back to that. It wasn't like they were trying to like just hit on it. Like
we can put a mark in the Poof Point's
they
corner.
Didn't try to just nail the cough and
they did not keep going. They did not beat the dead horse of PP. Yeah. They did not go back to the PP well too many times.
No, so that made it more tolerable, especially like that's the first image we saw, like literally those scenes. Like you said, we thought maybe the whole movie was just going to. Well,
first we got the camera-facing narrator, which is not a good sign, and then got fucking like I had a lost flash forward or something of like, oh, this is going to be my life for the next 90 minutes. It was, but
it wasn't as bad.
No,
as thought it was.
And I did mention in passing that the conceit of them being able to relate to their parents, I guess it is basically Back to the Future.
Goes full circle.
Marty McFly is able to see what his parents were like when he was younger.
Except Marty, there's a little incest kind of thing going on in there with Marty and his mom. Hey,
it's okay for other people.
Yeah, I would have been okay with... Okay.
What? Please, elaborate.
I mean, they got really aggressive with the parents in this movie,
But what I was saying was that it's not a new setup, but it was still an interesting one that, hey, we can relate to our parents better because they're total squares, but hey, they used to be like us.
We need a sequel.
No, we don't.
Sequel.
Between Poof Point and Hounded, I don't think I'm really into the track record of the Smart Guys DCOM. Two in a
bigger dog.
A year span, so
yeah, they really were
pretty hot for...
They're really milking him.
Yeah, not until we get probably Hillary Duff or something.
Yeah.
Then they milk Hillary Duff.
Now she milks
Cadet
herself.
Kelly too, milking Hillary Duff.
Ren Romano.
So if you want to tell us about your own...
milking.
Your own weird wordplay, word salad, Mad Libs you throw together of DCOM stars and your internet search history, you can send those emails to us at awholenewpod@gmail.com. I've been trying to balance when Dustin at one point wrote us to say, hey, you guys talked about when Lucas got trapped in the bathroom with like cats or whatever. Remember that? That was forever ago. 2020. For a lot of years, everybody's like, oh, 2019. Fuck off, you sucked. And it's like, none of the years have been great, but like 2020, not a hot take, but 2020 has been very bad.
What a mess. It's already May.
Felt forever.
It's already the middle of May. It's almost the end of May. Like, what the heck?
Time is going by fast and also still taking forever, but something that we are trying not to take forever is this episode, so we'll save some more story time for another episode. We got Jacob's Project Y. We can't even really say endeavors, just a shower thought put into a Facebook post. Something else Dustin requested is telling about Stewart Fest. So that is we might even need to say that for a time that Dustin is here, because Dustin is very much involved in those stories.
Absolutely.
But something else we can go into is the first moments where I met Jacob Telejohn, which still seem baffling to know those, to how we got here. But we'll leave that as a little teaser for the future. And I think I said, if I didn't say, I'll repeat it again. The email address is awholenewpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at awholenewpod, all one word. You can follow Jacob on Twitter.
Jacob_Telejohn, JACOB_TELLIJOHN.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts. Now Google Play has been updated now that I think there's Google Podcasts. So if Google likes to sometimes kill things or change things. So if you're still an Android Google user, you can follow us there. I think I did the correct thing to transfer the stuff over. Still on Spotify and other different pod-catching devices. And, of course, on YouTube, where you can subscribe to the channel. My bosses at work, they had known I did a podcast. Because I was like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I do a podcast with my friend. Oh, what do you do? We review Disney Channel original movies. Oh, like Aladdin? No.
I've talked to many people who think that's, I ask them, what's your favorite Disney Channel movie? And they're like, Lion King.
I mean, good choice, but I wish we could watch The Lion King. instead of the Jenny Project.
Maybe that'll be our next endeavor.
Nah. Our mission statement here, whether we run out of DCOMs or not, does not involve us watching good movies. That's never in
Then
our
we go back to
future.
the 1980s DCOMs.
But, and I'm fine with talking about this now because, quite honestly, I don't imagine they're ever going to make it to this episode. But they're like, oh, we're going to start listening to episode 1 now. And I said, all right, well, like anything, give us some time to get our foot in, figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And then they said, oh, you have a podcast voice. And I'm like, they don't listen to a lot of podcasts. It's like, well, I mean, I do sometimes put a speaking voice on,
Yeah.
especially when I'm doing the intros, and then that kind of peters out until I start talking like this. This is my podcast voice.
I think you should do that from now on.
We'll do this all the time,
In.
Jacob.
I'm in.
Yeah, I was like, well, as somebody who's listened to literally every second of the podcast we've done,
I sound like garbage. I hate how I sound.
except for you, Lucky Dog. That was the single episode
You
where I
like that
did the
one.
least amount of editing for. So it's probably not great. And I said, well, now Jacob, he definitely puts on a voice, but also I think just in the nature of talking about a DCOM or something for 60 to 90 minutes at a time, you can't keep up any amount of hello.
Hello there, guys.
So I think probably the early episodes where you didn't talk as much, you were able to be more deliberate to be like, so it's like you didn't say anything of substance.
I don't think I did that. I didn't do much stuttering today, did I? I think that kind of, you'll be able to tell.
We'll see. Sometimes
We'll
I
know.
think, oh, I didn't say or that much.
Getting
and
better,
then
maybe. But you catch yourself that you're still
Yeah.
doing it a lot.
I sometimes cut those out too when I can.
It's okay.
Sometimes
too.
it's seamless. Sometimes it's not. Enough being mean to Jacob. Enough being mean to myself. Never enough being mean to
You guys stopped listening
the
12
Poof
minutes
Point.
ago anyways.
Yeah, nobody listens to these outro parts anyways. So yeah, the Poof Point, I don't know, like a D tier maybe. Maybe D+, just
D+.
because of the party scene.
D+. I mean, in the grand scheme of the 30 or whatever that
Yeah,
we've watched.
at some point maybe once this pandemic goes down and I feel a little safer sitting next to Jacob, more in closer proximity, we can do our power ranking of the DCOMs we've watched so far. But until then, I think all that needs to be said is
Poof.
all right, that was good. I was gonna go fuck the Poof Point.
Anyway, I was talking about Poof Magazine, the magazine for magicians.
Yeah.
Look, this guy Tony Wonder bakes himself into a loaf of bread and then pops out of a giant sandwich to feed the troops. I had that idea 10 months ago.
You had that idea?
Well, basically, I was gonna boil myself alive into a chowder and then be ladled into a giant cauldron to entertain and feed the firemen.
It's pretty close.
I should be in this Poof.